On this week's episode, we're talking with Lisa Parda. During our conversation, we talked about food, real estate, and lifestyle. On lifestyle, no matter what you have genetically, you can improve it by 70% with your lifestyle. Lifestyle like diet, exercise, sleep, sun, relationships, and your ability to handle stress. On real estate, just as foundational as food, is where you rest your head at night, where we go to work, where our kids go to play. On food, eat real food. Bake a cookie at home. And now to our very fun and inspirational conversation with Lisa. Hello and welcome to the podcast, Eat Better Food Today. I'm your host, Ken Coonahan, and I'm excited to be sharing insights on why we believe that health and longevity begins with the food we eat. The goal of this podcast will be to inspire, educate, and enable folks to live a healthier life and do it affordably. My wife and I have been on this journey for over 11 years and continue to work on it every single day. Percent of the profits from this podcast through my Santee Foundation will be put towards child hunger with an initial focus on the poor suburb in America, East Cleveland, Ohio. As a reminder, please subscribe to this podcast. Subscriptions are the lifeblood of any podcast. Our sponsor is Cleveland Kitchen. Think of Cleveland Kitchen as providing easy gut health with their fermented foods, which means better brain health with just 2 forkfuls a day. On this episode, we're grateful to have Lisa Parda. Lisa is the owner of RealtyScape Brokerage and co-host of Lisa and Robyn on the Mic, a lively weekly radio show. Food has become Lisa's latest way of exploring connection. Her new cookbook, My Love Language is Food, isn't about flawless recipes. It's about survival, joy, and small rituals that keep people going, which we'll talk about today. Lisa draws from her own seasons of struggle, long work hours, the ups and downs of body image, and the lessons of using food as comfort as medicine. In this episode, we'll explore Lisa's thoughts on food, health, and longevity and discuss what continues to inspire her. Welcome, Lisa.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on the show.
Well, thanks for being here. So my first question is something that I always believe is an important start to your day. So please share what you had for breakfast this morning.
I had chia seed pudding with blackberries and raspberries.
Blackberries. Okay, that's great. That's great. I had chia seeds in my yogurt. I didn't have chia seed pudding, so.
Yeah. I was never a fan of chia seed when you just sprinkled it on or put it in a smoothie. I like to soak my chia seeds. I like them not to be so tough.
Yes.
So
I agree with that. I let mine kind of sit for a little bit before I eat them, so I'm with you on that. So how about any other morning routines that you have?
I have seasonal affective disorder, but I like to say that it's my defectiveness. In the winter, I'll use a UV light.
Okay.
Because I'll be very groggy as the light changes seasonally. So that's something I do probably 4 months out of the year. I do prefer a workout in the morning versus any other time of the day, primarily because my mind gets filled up. So mentally, I'm not as with it to give to a workout later on in the day. So I prefer to work out in the morning. I really like to have a cup of tea, an unrushed cup of tea in my house in a ceramic cup, not in a to-go container or anything plastic. And I say good morning to 4 of my friends and check in on them to make sure they're doing okay.
Oh, nice. Nice. I don't do the morning check-in. I usually talk to my wife or one of my kids, but not every morning. So, yeah, and I do go to the gym in the morning. That's definitely part of my routine. Gym, then breakfast. So I just feel better after going to the gym. No matter how lousy I feel, I always feel better.
I always feel like it moves the blood around enough to make me feel awake. That and a little bit of sunlight is very helpful because I have spent my life as an insomniac. So the mornings are tough for me.
Yeah, and getting out in the morning in the sun has been, a lot of people have been recommending that lately. So,
yeah. But in New England, that's pretty hard. We have to decide if New England wants to give us sun to go out in. It's the UV light.
Well, I grew up there. My family's still back there. So.
Oh, really? Where'd you grow up?
Just north of Boston, Beverly. So.
Very familiar.
So tell us about your journey you've gone from real estate to food. You've got this radio show that you do. So describe your present interest in food.
So I've always had an interest in real estate, partially because my family, we grew up in triple deckers. in Somerville, Massachusetts. And
Oh,
so my family were landlords, and so I understood real estate fundamentally. But what I wanted to be was an air traffic controller. And for a while, I worked at the FAA, and then that didn't work out. And I was in a couple of different careers, but I thought, I really like real estate, and I'm going to give that a try. And so I started my real estate career at 30, and I really loved it. I felt like it matched my personality well because I'm a problem solver. And there's a lot of problems like in fixing and solving real estate. So I felt like it was a good match for me, and I felt like I was well suited to it. So I threw myself in that at 30, and I've been doing it for 23 years. And the last few years have been seasonally, like a seasonal change. So if I had had children, this would be the time my kids would be, I'd be an empty nester at this moment. My kids would be going off to college, and normally people start reevaluating. I had some health concerns, like, what do I really want to be doing with myself?
mm-hmm.
And while I love real estate and I'm really good at real estate, I've been doing it for a long time. So there's not that newness to it and that curiosity that I bring to it the way I did like the first half of my career. So I wanted to be an author. So I'm like, I'm going to write a cookbook. I'll write other books afterwards, but my cookbook is my first one, only because everyone asks me for my recipes. So it felt like, oh, good, I'm just going to make them buy it, and I'm going to stop emailing recipes to everybody. And that led to getting invited onto a radio show, which led to someone saying, hey, you have a lot to say about the subject. Why don't you have a radio show?
Mm-hmm.
And then that led to me having some guests. And then I started to do the radio show with my best friend. And now we're going into our third year. So it became something that was just strictly curiosity and a fun project. It's not monetized at the moment. I hope that changes, but it was just an outlet, like a creative outlet.
Mm-hmm.
And we talk about food a lot on that show. We talk about body image. We talk about, there's no subject that's taboo for that. But my focus on food has always been food is my medicine. Every time I have a health concern, I really always have to go back to how I'm eating as a way to mitigate against that. So at 30, I really started doing an elimination diet because my psoriasis, I have autoimmune issues, which run in my paternal family. My grandmother had rheumatoid arthritis to the point where she couldn't walk. And no one really knew anything about diet at that time. But knowing my father's mother was poor, and she would often not eat to give her children food. She had 5 children. And I'm sure that that stress really contributed. But I realized that food makes an impact in my psoriasis specifically, and also grief, like emotion really plays a big part in that. And when I'm stressed, I eat worse. My emotions get worse. It's like this constant circle. And then maybe 4 years ago, I had a heart event in which I lost 50% of the function of my heart. And no one could tell me why. They were like, you don't have blocked arteries, you don't have this, you don't have that. So maybe it's lifestyle. And what I was doing was I was in my real estate business. I was doing several different functions. One of them, which caused me to work overnights. And I think I really screwed my circadian rhythm, and I think my heart took a beating for it. But then I really focused on, I've always been a big fish person. Several times over my life, I became vegetarian for several different reasons. We can talk about that if you want to. But I really do feel better when I eat a little bit of meat. And when I eat fish, I get anemic really quickly if I don't have meat in my diet. So I can never really withstand vegetarianism for a long period of time. So I went back, really focused on a Mediterranean diet. Going through menopause, really have to focus on eating well because your body is just breaking down quickly. And you're mentally breaking down quickly in menopause because I had no idea I was just held up by hormones. I thought it was a person, but I was just a bunch of hormones. And I didn't know.
I interviewed a doctor a couple of weeks ago down in North Carolina. She has a very good practice, functional medicine. She talks a lot about hormones. And the podcast I'm going to release today is a chef that's a vegetarian. It's interesting on the vegetarian piece. I just started asking why vegetarian diet. because it's come up more and more, and it's people don't like the way that animals are being treated
Yeah.
in these large factory farms. But he kept saying he encourages people, if they're going to be buying produce or if you're going to be doing, meat or whatever, to buy it from a small farm, which I 100% agree with, versus a large industrial farm. So it's more, it seems people are choosing a lifestyle or a diet based on treatment of animals. I think in this country, we need to focus more on stop treating animals that way and treating them the way they should be treated. So
Yeah, and I have an animal right on my desk. My very first vegetarian episode was my father's trying to teach me to cook. I'm young, and he decides he loves fish. He decides we're going to kill lobsters together, as any dad would bring his 7, 8-year-old daughter or whatever I was at the time. And they're live because you've got to cook them live, and they're fighting for their life. And I'm hysterically crying. My mother's yelling from the other room, leave her alone, and we get the lobsters in the pot, they're screaming, like that last little bit of air comes out of their lungs. And he says to me, I'm like, they're screaming, I'm this little girl. And so he sits down to explain to me that my hamburger is a cow and this is chicken and this is this. And I promptly refused to eat any of it because I had no idea that my hamburger was a cow. I had no idea. And so that was like, there's no harm to animals in Doritos. There's no harm to animals in rice and French fries. And it was the beginning of a very unhealthy diet and relationship with food. But I loved animals and I thought I didn't want to eat them. And every time I've gone vegetarian, it has been for that reason.
Okay.
I just want to give it a break. I see some special or I read something and then I'm like, okay, I'm just going to give it a break for a while. I need to get over this. But over the years, I have learned that if I never want to waste meat. I don't want to waste food in general, but I really don't want to waste meat because something lived and died. And I cook now all the different parts of animals. And I've learned to cook them all. And I heard it from a small butcher. And he says, every time you come in here and order filet mignon, a cow has to die because the loin is the smallest part of an animal. If you eat all of these other parts, I only have to kill 50 animals a year instead of killing 500. And that was a light bulb that I didn't actually ever understand on my own. And then that became okay, I'm really going to be heavy on the fish because I'm pretty sure I could kill a fish should I need to. Right? If I had to kill a chicken, we'd just have eggs. There'd be the chicken in the house because I'm not killing it. But I do eat chicken. I do eat everything. I'm an omnivore, but I do try to do it somewhat responsibly so that I don't feel terribly guilty.
Yeah, and overseas, I don't know how it happened in the U.S., but I mean, I know my grandparents ate every part of an animal, and I know overseas they still do that in other countries. But for some reason in the U.S. here, we've gotten focused on filet mignon, chicken breasts, pork tenderloin.
Yeah, we're not poor.
Yeah,
That's part of it is poverty. Right?
Yes.
You're eating pig's feet because there's no other piece of the pig left.
Right.
And I don't want to mislead anybody. I'm not eating tongues or ears or feet. But I am eating all the meat. But I know that if you make it wonderfully, I'll try it.
So the cookbook, talk to us a little bit about the cookbook and the recipes in the cookbook. I assume it's not a takeout menu or something like that. So.
Right. So I grew up on cookbooks.
Mm-hmm.
So what normally goes into cookbooks is beautiful food. And a lot of the food that we eat that's delicious is not beautiful. So there's a picture every 3 pages. I tried to pick the prettiest food, but it's a Mediterranean-based diet. So it is a lot of fish. It is a lot of vegetables. And then it is a little bit of meat and chicken. Mm-hmm. It does contain desserts, even though they're not necessarily healthy. I do like fruit baked into desserts a lot. And it is, people say that you co-opt food, like this is Thai food, this is Asian, this is Italian. I don't believe you can co-opt food because I believe food is meant to be shared. In every culture across time, we have shared food. Mm-hmm. That is the first thing we do with a new person is you're supposed to break bread, for example. So one of the things I like, some of it's got Asian flavor, some of it has Thai flavor. So I'm very explorative in food. I wasn't always that way as a child, but I became that way as an adult. So it's a lot of different things that you would be in the mood for. when you're not in the mood for anything. I have a philosophy that you should have breakfast for dinner, because a lot of times we're just running around with our chia seed pudding or our smoothies because we don't have time in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
But you want eggs Benedict, you want quiche, you want these nice, yummy dishes. And at the end of the day, I can't tell you how many times at the end of the day, after a day of real estate, I might be mentally exhausted and I don't have the wherewithal to come up with what's for dinner. So I make breakfast food. It's delicious. It's comforting. It's easy. I almost always have the items in the fridge, and it's super simple. Instead of going for takeout, which would most likely be an unhealthy choice, I just have something healthy at home.
Nice, nice. So from a food standpoint, sourcing food that you trust, what does that mean to you?
I'm not even going to use the word sustainable, because I live in New England and bananas don't grow here and we don't get blueberries in the winter. Right. So there's the part of me that I love a farmer's market, but I'm tending not to go to them very often because around me there's like corn and nothing else, in the summers, like corn or tomatoes or something. So I do believe, because of the way I grew up not eating very healthy food, that I need as much healthy food as I can get in my adult life. Mm-hmm. So I might be eating kiwis or, something that I'm not going to get native to New England. And because I live in a place that has winter and, I'll have butternut squash for the next 3 months, but I won't have very much else. I am not necessarily eating sustainably for my location. I like to go to places where I know they're doing sustainable with the meat and fish. So, and around, we're lucky to have a Whole Foods near us. And I know that they do a lot of the sustainability on the back end. We have a butcher up the street that, when you go to his location, he has lambs off to the side because he's killing things that day, and he's a small farmer. He takes from small farms. So he's another place that I like to go to. But I'm probably a little hypocritical in the way that, I'm not doing sustainable because I am eating blueberries in December.
Okay.
And I'm eating bananas in New England.
Okay. Well, bananas, those have to be shipped from somewhere. But the blueberries, you can get good frozen blueberries.
Yes.
I get frozen Maine blueberries that I eat in the wintertime. So, because the stuff you get from South America, by the time it gets at least to Cleveland, it doesn't taste very good. So
yeah, that's a really good point. I do have lots of frozen fruit.
Yeah.
In my freezer. I do like to make smoothies with it and desserts with it. I don't mind putting it in like an oatmeal or something, but I do think the texture is just, depending on what the fruit is, the texture is just a little bit off.
So you mentioned your heart scare several years ago. So did you do anything from a food standpoint to remedy that? Did a doctor talk about food as medicine, or is that still an issue, or where does that all stand?
So I stopped drinking alcohol.
Okay.
No one's going to like that answer, but that cured my AFib pretty quick.
Okay.
It was one of the things. Yeah. So what I was doing was I was working 54 hours straight, for example. Still exercising my high intensity workout because I was heavier than I should be because I'm not sleeping. I was doing way too much. So I did a lot of backing off. So I said, you know what was interesting was I went to the doctor. I was at work at a real estate thing, and I started projectile vomiting. Ooh. At first I was like, I felt so terrible. I had been having AFib for a very long period of time. They kept saying that it was menopause, like it's perimenopause. You just feel your heart. This is just a normal, natural thing, and it's nothing to worry about. But I distinctly felt like I was dying. I would wear my heart rate monitor and just see my heart rate, sitting, go to like 148. I was having a lot of symptoms, but I wasn't taken very seriously at my doctor's office. This is in the middle of COVID. You can't get in to see people, all that blah, blah. So what I did was had the event. A woman from work had to drive me into the emergency room because they were going to call an ambulance. And I'm immediately thinking, I don't have $2,500 deductible to be just throwing at an ambulance. I'll drive myself. Meanwhile, I had not been able to catch my breath. So I was trying to yawn, because yawning, you can kind of fill up a little bit. And that was like a trick I was doing when I would not be able to breathe fully, is that I would try to yawn, but then my jaw kept getting stuck. It was almost like I was having a full body cramp as an explanation. So I didn't have tingling down my arm. I didn't have some of those symptoms, but it was like my everything was seizing. And so I was trying to yawn to catch my breath, but my jaw was getting stuck. And the person across from me was saying, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "I'm not bored. I'm trying to yawn to catch my breath." And then I was like, "Excuse me?" And I went to get up because I'm like, I'm going to vomit. And I just started projectile vomiting at this meeting.
Wow.
And when my AFib happens, my blood pressure drops. So I almost faint. So they couldn't put me on like beta blockers and whatnot. And apparently to the work people, I looked like a disaster. And I'm like trying to clean vomit. And I'm like, "I'll take myself to the hospital." In my head, I'm like, I'm going to go home and lie down. And she's like, "If you don't get in my car, I'm calling an ambulance." So she drove me. This lovely lady drove me.
Nice.
And I get there and they're doing their tests and whatnot. And they said vomiting is a very common symptom of a heart attack because it's your body your body's having an event. And so it can't do things. It can't digest. It can't so it is a common symptom. And my girlfriend, her husband passed away like maybe 2 months before. And she had a heart attack 2 days later. And her main symptom was vomiting. And because that had just happened to her, that was the only reason why I went to the emergency room. Because I was like, actually, maybe this is a symptom of a heart attack. I do have AFib. And because the doctors, this was, again, COVID time period, they send me to go to an electrocardiologist because they think it's the electrical synapses.
Yeah. My wife,
especially with all the shift work.
Yeah.
So people with shift work really screw up their circadian rhythm and the heart needs to rest. So that is a common symptom.
Okay.
So we kind of determined that being an insomniac my whole life and then adding shift work because I'm an insomniac, might as well work. I ruined myself. And the appointment I couldn't get until, so this happened in November. My appointment for the electrophysiologist was August.
Wow.
And so what I do, I'm a book person. I start deep diving and reading about heart health. And I come to the determination that the things I can do immediately are lifestyle changes. I can stop working shift work. I can stop exercising fasted and tired. And when I exercise, I really don't have the stamina to exercise anymore because my heart has 50% of the function. So what I do is just walk. And I take off my heart rate monitor to, I'm just walking. I'm just trying to be kind to myself. I'm trying to give myself a break. I'm stopping alcohol because they said alcohol worsens AFib. And by the time I got to the electrophysiologist, he was like, "How many episodes do you have?" I was having one a day or more, or sometimes being in AFib for the whole day. I had no episodes in that month. And so he said, "What did you do?" So I go through no shift work, no alcohol, zone 2 cardio, not working out fasted, all of these different things. And he goes, "Okay, that's what I would tell you to do." Nobody does it. And that's why they come back to me. You can just stick to that. You'll be a little bit better off. And I have significantly improved my health, which I also lost weight because I was very heavy at that time period. And when I first went to the doctors and said, "Hey, I think I have AFib," they were like, "Of course you have AFib, lose weight." So what did I do? Starve myself more and exercise harder, which was the opposite of what I needed.
Yeah. Well, it's good you had that time to figure some of that stuff out for yourself. I mean, it's not good you had to wait till August to have an appointment with a doctor, but.
Yeah. And I was like, "Oh, this is great healthcare. Are we number one in the world? Because I'm going to drop dead by the time I see the doctor I need to see."
Well, I think there were a lot of anomalies during COVID. So, I mean,
yes.
Yeah. So the emotional power of food beyond nutrition.
So like I said, where I don't think food can be co-opted, I think food is something to be shared. I think there is something fundamental to eating good food, eating together. A lot of people live alone nowadays, and a lot of people are eating their meals alone. Even families are having their meals at different time. Who has soccer practice? Who has this? I think there is a communal aspect to sharing food together emotionally. I have my friend who had the husband who had a heart attack. One of the things you think of right away is like, okay, she's not having her meals with anybody anymore. Make sure, she's having dinner once a week with somebody. People who go through divorce, they have this very specific ritual of like whatever. And now all of a sudden they're eating TV dinners, even if they're eating good food by the TV, they're not eating with other people.
Right. Right.
I do think the phones and all this technology, which is wonderful in so many regards, is separating us from each other. We recently had a woman on our radio show talking about how the smartphone is like a menage a trois in a marriage, because both people are into their phones more than they're into each other. Right? So interesting conversations, a time, no one's lived in this time period. We're all living through this experiment for the first time, and I don't think we understand how it affects us. But I think the emotional component to food for me was I grew up eating takeout, dieting, so having maybe one meal a day, because I was trying to stay in 1,200 calories. That was a big thing I did in my teenage years. So withholding food, withdrawing food makes food this powerful source that you're constantly trying to withhold yourself from. Instead of finding a healthier way to interact with food, I just removed it. And if you're an alcoholic, stopping drinking, very helpful, right, to you. But we have to eat to live. We don't have to have alcohol to live.
Right. Right.
So developing a better relationship with food, I met my husband and he loved food and he was about eating, but he was about eating real food, not dessert, not chips. So it was in my relationship with him that I come to have a better relationship with food in general. No, first of all, he wanted to eat together. He wanted to eat all the time. He's 6'1", 250 pounds. He's hungry. It's like if you've ever ridden a horse, there's always a horse stopping to graze because they're starving. It's my husband. The big guy, he needs a lot of food. And I'm not a big person. I don't need a ton of food, but I'm eating along with him. But it was in my relationship with him that I learned to cook. And then I learned that, wow, I can make food, delicious food. I'm a picky eater. I can make it exactly as I want it. And I can satisfy myself in a very fundamental, primal way. And then I can also share this with everybody else, and it seems to make them happy.
Nice. Well, and if you're using the right ingredients in your food versus whatever comes in a box in a store shelf in a grocery store, it's going to be, you can eat more because it's healthier. And if you can, even people that are eating the meats, which I do too as well, and the fish, I wish I lived back in New England to eat some of the fish you have there that's fresh. But as long as you're eating more vegetables and less protein, still eating the protein, and then you get to choose a protein. If you like fish, eat fish. If you like meat, eat meat. If you like beans, eat beans. So whatever that is. So balancing that out from a health standpoint.
Yeah, and we got every 2 years there's a new diet. Now we don't have enough protein. Before we hated carbohydrates. In the 80s we hated fats. Right? And now you find out, no, don't eat fruit by itself. Eat fruit with a little bit of fat to not spike your blood sugar.
Right.
Another thing I did for my heart was I got a continuous glucose monitor because I learned that I had to stop starving myself for my heart. And so I'm like, all right, I need to see what the problem is. And so I was seeing that the longer I went without food, the higher my blood sugar spiked the first thing I ate, even if I ate nothing but protein. Because what I was doing was having 2 hard-boiled eggs after a 16-hour fast.
Okay.
And my blood sugar was like, oh, just have a soda. You're 200. And it's like, and when you tell people like what's happening, they go, that doesn't happen. And you're like, okay, anomaly over there. This is me. And that's what I loved about the glucose monitor. I didn't need a prescription. It cost $49. I got them delivered to my house. And I saw on my phone what happened when I put food in my mouth, what happened an hour later, how I could change it by adding different foods. So not eating any protein by itself and not eating any fruit by itself. I think what we do is we hear all these restrictive diets. You need more protein, don't have any carbohydrates. And then we start ingredient eating.
Right.
Because we don't know what to eat. And so then it turned back into, the food pyramid is wrong.
Right. Absolutely.
And I remember the doctor telling me, you need a heart healthy diet. And I said, well, what is that? We don't know what it is. And she goes, yes, we do. It's the Mediterranean diet. And I said, okay, well, can you get on a social media channel and scream it? Because all of the information we're getting is other.
Right. Well, you're having companies that are trying to sell you products that are telling you what to eat, what's heart healthy, what's not heart healthy. And there's a lot of company influence on that food pyramid and what we're being told, whether it's
Yeah.
being told on social media or newspapers, radio shows, whatever. They seem to own the marketing of their products.
Yeah. And it's interesting because I've had several women my age. They're like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, you lost weight. You're looking really good. What's happening? And I'm like, I'm eating more. I actually eat 5 times a day now.
Hmm.
3.5 hours apart, somewhere around 3, very small meals.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not having the quantity I normally had, but I also am not starving myself for 16 hours and overeating when I actually finally do eat.
Yeah. Well, you're
You know,
probably not eating a bag of Lay's potato chips every 3.5 hours either.
right,
So.
right. It's chia seed pudding. It's some fruit and some yogurt. It's some, nuts and some whatever. It's, for lunch, I might have a little piece, like a half of the steak I would normally have. Like I would break my steak into 2 meals,
Mm-hmm.
and I would have half with broccoli and a sweet potato, and then have half with Brussels sprouts and something else. And so it's making the meals smaller. And it was one thing I took I had serving sizes in my book. And then I was like, I'm taking all these out because apparently I was telling people 8 servings of pasta was 2. So I'm going to take all the servings out. You figure out your own servings and go from there. So the cookbook is very healthy recipes. Now, of course, a cookie is not a healthy recipe, but I feel like that's soul food. Like everyone could use a good cookie. And if you're going to eat a cookie, eat a really good cookie. Don't eat some crappy supermarket shelf stable cookie.
Right.
Make a cookie in your house. Pound down 3 of them, feel good about it, satisfy yourself so you're not just chasing a craving for cookies for a week.
Well, and if you do it after you've had a healthy meal, that's the best time to do it. So you can always.
And my blood sugar says the sooner closest to that meal, the better.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
So have it for dessert. I mean, but like to your point, have it something that you made at home versus something that can sit on the shelf for 2 years and you can still eat it. Yeah.
And one of the things I learned by cooking for myself was, because when you're coming to cooking, when you're only eating in restaurants, one of the things you do is try to recreate the restaurant food at home. And then you're like, wow, we really should not be having that much ranch dressing. You make ranch dressing from scratch. I remember my husband was pouring it on a salad. I'm like, whoa, that's mayo and sour cream. Stop doing that. You get 2 tablespoons. When you start making buffalo chicken dip, you're like, wow, I had no idea that there was this much butter in it. If you make a red velvet cake at your house, you're like, no one should have this many cups of red dye number 40.
Right.
So it's eye-opening and also changes the way you're coming into food too, because you're like, if you just eat a red velvet cake, you're not going to know how much red dye number 40 is in it, and nor do you care.
Right.
But when you're feeding your family and you're pouring a cup of red dye 40 into chocolate mix, you're like, I don't think we should be eating this. Red velvet was one of my favorite flavors.
Yeah. You've done this reset for your life from the real estate, you're doing the show, and you're starting to write books. Your first is a cookbook. So I'm in a similar state where a couple of years ago, I decided to refocus what I'm doing, and we're starting this center in East Cleveland. So it's focused on the poor suburb in America, but the focus is going to be on food. We're also going to do like literacy, math. I feel it's important that kids there know about AI. So we're going to have information on that. So I'm coming up to my 100th podcast episode. And I'm going to start to shift the conversation more into talking about that in the context of urban areas and what's needed there. So my question is, what we're going to start doing is I'm working on getting more healthy, because there's no grocery stores in these neighborhoods, whether it's East Cleveland or pick any urban area in the U.S. It's just
everything's a convenience store.
Everything's a convenience store at a gas station, right?
Yeah.
That's what they can choose from.
Yeah.
So I've got some students at a local university here. We're working on a project to see how do we get healthy food into some of these neighborhoods.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yeah,
or
absolutely.
ask a question?
Go, sure.
What do the school systems have? Do they have any kind of culinary, any kind of thing where they're educating kids or having a class on cooking? Like,
So we have an organization that's already joined the center. It's called Food Strong. So they're trying to work with schools in this neighborhood and in the city of Cleveland on creating gardens, having the kids grow something, harvest it, and then make food out of it. So it's not everywhere, but it's a start. So, and that used to be in Cleveland anyways, that used to be common, say 40, 50 years ago. There were gardens at every school. They had home economics or cooking classes,
Yes.
whatever you want to call it, that they don't exist today.
I think home economics needs to come back because our children are not prepared for the world.
Right,
In
right.
school, first thing first, write a check, learn how to balance a checkbook, be able to read and write,
Yes.
understand how to cook food for yourself and stuff like that. Maybe build a birdhouse. There's nothing wrong with getting people to learn to do things with their hands, sewing, anything, you can do that's tactile, just engages different muscles too.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that we need to bring that stuff back. I mean, I think that's important because, and kids don't know how to cook anymore because
Their parents don't cook.
parents don't cook, right? They go to a convenience food at a store or a drive-through. So anyways, we're trying to build this, so part of what we're trying to do too is trying to kind of recreate this neighborhood. So we're going to have this. We've renovated a building. That's where we're going to start these food classes and education classes, and then we're going to hopefully in the next couple of years raise money to build this center. So to be, like you talk about people eating with people, it'll be a center where we're hoping we can fit 100, 150 people in and do community meals in this center as well. And then we want to start redeveloping this neighborhood. So we're almost like a cul-de-sac in this neighborhood, and there are buildings around or vacant land around that we could turn into farmland, that we could turn into apartments, that we could, repurpose for a lot of different things. So we're trying to start with this project and then expand it and kind of revitalize this neighborhood. So
this is my jam. And I say that because I sell people homes, right? Their first home, their second home, but 70% of my business is investment.
Okay.
So people are buying to rent, make some money, have some tax deductions, have a future, and so some of your best candidates are going to be investment-minded real estate people. So real estate investment meetups and stuff, almost every town has them. I could look up in your area and tell you who they are. But that's who you want to partner with because these are people who want to make money or park money in real estate. And for these purposes, apartment buildings, changing vacant land. Part of what I've done is my businesses will buy a 15-unit apartment building, renovate it so it's a much nicer place to live. It's not filled with cockroaches or bed bugs or, all of that stuff because that's a real thing too.
Yeah.
And then how we normally do it, like for example, one of the 15-unit apartment buildings we did, the obvious people who nobody likes, not even the other tenants, have to go. And then we start renovating the building one at a time and then moving people who remain to be good people into the new space, keeping them. And so you're doing this renovation at one time. I know this from my community. The cops always say, oh, when you buy a building, I know it'll be a place I want to rent 2 years from now, 3 years from now. So
Nice.
what you're doing is you're bringing a community back to life.
Right.
Through real estate. You really are. It's foundational. It's just as foundational as food. Where we rest our head at night, where we go to work, where we make our money, where our kids go to play. That is ultimately, the foundation for our lives.
Yeah, because people have left this neighborhood because they don't feel safe, can't go to a grocery store. I mean, all just the basic needs are not being met, so they have to move to a different neighborhood. So
yeah, so one of the things that I found very helpful when I'm doing this in certain neighborhoods is, you might have a drug problem, for example. If you can get the police to, like what I did, because I have a private business and it's like, I know I have a drug dealer in an apartment building and I want him to go away. So what I do is 2 times that I'm going to that building to meet my contractors and all of that other stuff, I'm hiring a 4-hour police detail. And the police are coming with me on this visit. And when they see police showing up all the time with you, they just move somewhere else. Now, I'm sure that's not I don't know. That's the way I dealt with drug problems in apartment buildings because drug dealers don't want to be where the police are around.
Yeah.
And so sometimes you have to pay to involve them. But people who are investing in apartment buildings want clean, safe spaces. So they
Right.
usually, if you build that into some of your expenses as you're doing stuff and build in a security company and whatnot at first, and then the neighborhood will change, so it'll just sustain itself after that. But
Hmm.
as you're transitioning, sometimes you need a little bit of help from the community that way. Do
Yeah,
you guys have the Freemasons where you are?
we do. Yeah.
So I know here they are very involved in literacy,
Okay.
and they are very financially involved with that and in real estate. So if you can connect with a few of them, they will
Okay.
be behind the scenes advocates. They won't be in front of the scenes,
Hmm.
but they are a behind the scenes advocate for literacy for sure.
Well, we've got some Ursuline nuns that are going to help on the literacy front. We've actually got some teachers in the school system that want to help too. So
Awesome.
yeah. So I think we've got that.
So, what are some of
Yes.
your real estate challenges that you have right now? Acquiring it?
Yeah, I mean, we're so like there's a building right next to our property. We've got like 1 square block. The building next to our property is 5 stories, probably got 30 units in it. The only thing that's in it right now is a bar on the first floor. All the other there's nobody living there. So that to me is a prime opportunity, something you can get, rehabilitate, and bring people back to the neighborhood. And between us and that building, the other side of that building is a hospital. So and across the street somebody's putting in a new restaurant, so it's kind of there's things happening in this small little neighborhood that can lead to some good things. So
Yeah. 5 years from now, it won't be recognizable.
that's my plan. By
Yeah.
2029 I've got it in writing here.
Yeah. And it feels really good to be a part of that.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. I mean, you talk
Oh,
about the hours you were working, it's a lot of work to get this to happen, and you got to make people believers too. I mean, they look at this area and kind of nothing's ever going to happen. Well, if everybody thinks that, it's never going to change. So
those are people who don't have vision.
right.
People, you know, people who people who can only wear the latest fashion because they know it's fashionable because Snoop Dogg wore it. Right? Those people aren't your people. You're the people who make the fashion. You're the people who have the vision. Those are your people. Those are who you have to align with,
Yeah.
because they're also going to get the best bang for their buck too, because they're getting in at a really great price. Everybody else will jump in when it's already what it needs to be, and then they'll be happy to contribute.
Right. Right.
Right. So your good partners are going to be the people who have a vision for what this could look like. And you're obviously one of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So you need to find more yous. And then people who are happy to pound pavement and do work, because there's a lot of work ahead.
There is a lot of work ahead. Yeah. So far,
Are
I've got.
you in an opportunity zone?
That is unclear. That I don't know the answer to that.
Okay.
So
A realtor should be able to tell you,
okay. Yeah.
because that'll change how you can sell your idea for investments,
Okay.
the long-term investment, because you want a lot of long-term people in there at first.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
you will be able to flip some stuff, but that's not what you want, because you don't want the prices to escalate too quickly until you really get solidified.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if it's an opportunity zone, people who have money, who like to park money in places and help their tax status, will be the best investors for you.
Yeah. And the county is investing. So we had on our property, we have 5 buildings. 2 of the buildings were kind of inhabitable. So they actually funded removal of 2 of the buildings for us. And there are a couple other buildings that are eyesores that they're focused on removing too. So that'll help. It's helped us and it'll help the neighborhood too. So
That is very exciting.
it is exciting. It is exciting. So how about a success story or two? Kind of either in real estate or food, or maybe even a connection between real estate and food that you have or can share. I mean, you yourself are a success story.
Yes. My health is a success story.
Absolutely.
And I do think that we have to change our definition of success.
Okay.
And I say that because me publishing a cookbook into the world is my definition of success.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the business person in me, the real estate broker in me, who everything is monetized, and how are we paying for this, and who's paying for the taxes, and how are we affording the food? That business person wants that book to make money. But the real measure of success is that I took something from nothing and created a tangible product that I can share with the world. right? So I will say that my definition of success since my heart issue has changed, right? Where the definition before would be I sell a, New York Times best-selling cookbook, over 100,000 copies that is picked up in 3 countries. Right? That would be success one. Success two. But a success story. So I had a recent success story. One of my clients came to me probably 4 or 5 years ago, telling me his long-term goals for his real estate investment strategy. He works at a W-2 job, has a wife and 2 small children. He's like, I want to buy it. I want my kids to have college money. I want to support my family. And someday I'd like to quit my job. And over a year ago, last February, he called me to say, this is my last week at my W-2 income job. I have replaced all my W-2 income. I have my money ready for my kids in a couple of years, to probably more like 6 years, to go to college. So if you have a long-term strategy in real estate, I think it is a great way to make money. So that's a success story there. And then I think the fact that I'm not covered in psoriasis is a success story to my eating well and trying to navigate emotions. Because I think if you had looked at me at 24, I got my first patch of psoriasis, and I was progressively, it was just marching all over my body.
Mm-hmm.
And it's painful, and it's uncomfortable, and it's stressful.
Mm-hmm.
And they kept saying, well, stop being stressful. Stop being stressed. I'm like, but it is stressing me out. Having it itself is stressing me out. And it was when I went to an acupuncturist who put me in touch with a nutritionist, because I was going to an acupuncturist for the pain portion, because there's like an element of joint pain and various things with it. She's the one that, like, I really can't help you, but I know a nutritionist who can. And it was in seeing that nutritionist that within 3 weeks, all my psoriasis was gone. And it was because I wasn't eating real healthy food.
Very nice.
So that would be my success story, is that you would look at me, and if I was going on the same path I was going on, I wouldn't be on a podcast, because I would be covered in psoriasis and I wouldn't want you to see.
Well, I would say your midlife transition is also a success story, because you've transitioned. Some people would have had what you had from a heart standpoint and said, well, it's genetics, it's in my family, and they just would have sat in a chair and watched TV and you're taking the positive approach to a lot of people that would not have taken that same path, is my point. So
yeah, so I've always read a lot of books, and I've always participated. I was a runner for a period of time, so I would do running events. So I would always do these like fitness things, like fitness challenges. I always found that interesting, like a reason to train that's not just training. It's like, oh, I have a purpose. I have to run a marathon, or I have to hike a mountain or something. And it was in there that I heard 70% of our health is lifestyle.
Absolutely right.
So no matter what you have genetically,
right,
you can improve it by 70%. By your lifestyle. And that's diet, exercise, sleep, sun, relationships.
Yes.
Your ability to handle stress. And so someone put that seed in. So every time a doctor shrugged their shoulders or told me something, I'm like, I'm going to figure this out. There's a book on it somewhere. And so I recently had some genetic markers tested, because my insurance was willing to pay for it. And again, they said, even if you have the breast cancer gene, 70% of it's lifestyle, 60 to 70% is lifestyle. So if you get the bad news, don't be upset. Right. And I think we don't understand how much agency we have over each other in our lives. But when you do understand you have agency, you can take action to help yourself.
Absolutely.
And then once you help yourself, you want to go out into the community like you're doing. And help other people. Right.
Because people need to understand that. A lot of people don't understand what we're talking about here. So which is unfortunate.
Well, we're given a lot of messaging.
Right. And that's the other part. There's a lot of messaging out there.
Yeah. And that's one reason why I wanted my radio show. At first, I was like, I don't care if it's monetized, because I want to talk about what I want to talk about. And I want to say what I want to say. And I don't want someone who's offering facials from my website to tell me I can't talk about something because you want to sell Botox. Like,
Right.
no, eating fruits and vegetables, you'll have better skin. Drink more water, you'll have better skin. Stop drinking alcohol, you'll have better skin.
There you go. That's why I'll never have a McDonald's commercial on my podcast. So
yes,
just does not jive. I don't know. There are other people out there that have podcasts that talk about one topic, and then they have advertisers that are in complete conflict with what they're talking about. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think integrity. The older and older you get, stuff falls away.
Right.
And so you're like, what's left? Me, who I am as a person. Yep. And do I want to be somebody who's, doesn't have integrity?
Right. Absolutely. So first step. So for listeners, if the first step somebody wanted to take if they wanted to change, improve their lifestyle, what would you say that first things that somebody could do would be?
I would say stop doing your worst habit.
Okay.
Because we think we're so exhausted.
Mm-hmm.
We're so exhausted, right? Everything is bombarding. There's so much, right? So it's, now I have to add a 20-minute meditation and a 40-minute workout. And, where am I going to find the time? No, stop smoking. Maybe stop drinking for 30 or 60 days. See what that looks like. You're not going to feel great if you've been drinking for 20 years and you just all of a sudden stop. Right. And I'm talking about drinking because it's October still. And we talked about Sober October on the radio. And it was some of our best feedback because we talked about it as a real thing. Like if you've been drinking for 20 years and you stop drinking, you're going to feel like crap for a very long period of time until you start feeling better.
Yeah.
Right. Stop drinking soda. Stop having your bag of chips. If you're going to have a cookie, eat a homemade cookie. Don't eat crappy cookies from the supermarket. Shop on the exterior. So my first recommendation is stop doing your worst thing. If you're going to bed at 2:00 in the morning every day, try to see if you can get to bed by 11. If you're drinking soda, stop drinking soda, even diet soda. I'm not talking about it from the calorie content. I'm talking about it from the ingredients.
From the ingredients, absolutely. Yeah.
And isn't it refreshing? You don't have to do one more thing. Doesn't that feel like, I could probably do that? Instead of adding. Yeah. Try subtracting.
Nice. That's good advice. I've not had that for advice before, so thank you.
Good.
So, in the spirit of cooking homemade cookies, what recipe did you bring that you can share with listeners? I'm assuming this can be something from your cookbook, maybe not.
Yeah. So I don't have the book yet because it's coming out 11/11, but I have my working book. Okay. What would you like? Would you like a fish recipe? Would you like
something that in an urban area somebody can make instead of going through a drive-through that's not too complicated or too expensive?
Okay.
I would say not fish.
So you can always get eggs at a gas station. You can always get milk. So I'll say a quiche.
Okay.
Okay. So quiches are hearty and comforting. You can make them once and have them. You can even microwave it the next day. I'm not a big microwave fan. You can throw it in the oven too, but some people like to microwave. So you would take 5 large eggs. You would take a cup of whole fat milk, half a cup of half and half. And then you would add a cup of cauliflower, green peas. I don't know if you're going to be able to get the stuff at the grocery store. So what I'll just do is I'll give you a cheese one.
But you can also, even at a convenience store, some of those things you can find frozen. You won't be able to find them fresh, okay. But yeah.
So if you have
frozen vegetables,
spinach as a frozen vegetable, squeeze out all the water. You don't want a lot of water in there.
Yeah.
Some other good, so you can get green peas there. You can get frozen cauliflower there.
Yep.
And then I put sun-dried tomatoes in it. I don't know if you're going to have access to that, but sun-dried tomatoes are a great flavor enhancer for whatever you're cooking. And then some cheddar cheese, olive oil, and salt and pepper. And you're going to preheat your oven to 325 degrees. You're going to make scrambled eggs. You're going to add the milk in the half and half. And you're going to pour it into a round pie baking dish. Then you're going to add your cauliflower, your green peas in there. If you have sun-dried tomatoes, you're going to cover it in cheese, add salt and pepper, and then you're going to bake it probably for about 45 minutes until it's completely set up. And you come out and cut it like a pie. and it's got a ton of protein. You've got your vegetables in there. It's a make ahead. You can have it the next day by just heating it up in the microwave for like 60 seconds or heating it back up in the oven for like 20 minutes. And I would put your pie onto a cookie sheet. So if it's rising, you don't want any egg to fill over and give you a stove cleanup.
Yeah. Good
So
advice.
always put things that you're cooking on baking sheets in your oven, because you'll never cook again if you have to clean your stove after one meal. So that's like a little tip there. But I think quiches are great. They're very comforting too, I think.
I love quiches, so that's a good. I don't think we've had a quiche on the show before, so
Okay,
great.
excellent.
All right. Well, thank you, Lisa. Thank you for being on the show today. Great talking with you, and hopefully we can stay in touch.
Yes, absolutely. And definitely, if you need any conversations about real estate or food, I'd be happy to chat with you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
As I mentioned a few minutes ago, my sponsor is Cleveland Kitchen, the leader in fresh fermented foods. Try Cleveland Kitchen's crunchy and delicious krauts, kimchi, and pickles, packed with probiotics to support your gut health while elevating your meals from ordinary to extraordinary. Cleveland Kitchen, where taste meets wellness. Find it in the produce or deli section of your local grocery store or visit clevelandkitchen.com for more information. And please follow the show every week where you listen to podcasts or on YouTube. Leave comments below or on my website, Eat Better Food Today.